Live from Television Hill, this is WJZ Breaking News.
Tonight, a child is in the hospital as Baltimore County Police investigate after receiving reports of a shooting. Hello, I'm Sean Stryker. Detectives say the child has injuries to the upper body. They found the victim inside of a home on Derbyshire Circle. One person is in custody and a gun has been recovered from the scene. Police say the incident appears to be domestic and that there is not a threat to the community. We are expecting to get more information tomorrow, and we will bring you updates on air and online at WJZ.com. Now to our coronavirus coverage. Florida shattered a nationwide record for the number of new coronavirus cases in one day, with more than 15,000 positive results. Tonight, Governor Larry Hogan says the virus is out of control, and he's pointing the finger at President Trump. Here in Maryland, more than 73,000 people have become infected with coronavirus, but fewer than 400 people are in the hospital and 114 people are in the ICU. WJZ is live. Annie Rose Ramos joins us from South Baltimore with insight from Governor Hogan and details on the virus's latest impact. Annie Rose.
Sean, cases are up and so are hospitalizations, but Maryland's positivity rate remains below 5%. It's been that way for over 2 weeks now. This as Governor Hogan says that President Trump has made some big mistakes. Sunday, the state of Maryland reporting over 73,000 COVID cases, an increase of 642. Maryland's positivity rate remaining below 5% for over 2 weeks, with officials monitoring the spikes and outbreaks in neighboring states.
This thing is out of control. It's by no means behind us.
The governor on NBC's Meet the Press Sunday, criticizing the federal government.
Mistakes were made, that we should have had a national testing strategy, that we should have been on top of this.
As of Sunday, the state has tested more than 800,000 people, including a record 21,140 tests in the past day.
We had 50 different states with 50 different strategies, and some did better than others.
But in Ocean City, 5 restaurants are temporarily closing after employees tested positive, including Dry Dock 28 and Blue Crab House. Back in Baltimore City, playgrounds, basketball courts, and pools are reopening starting Monday, with park officials alerting the public the equipment will not be sanitized daily. While in Anne Arundel County, 2 staffers at their swim center in Annapolis tested positive for COVID-19. The facility was closed Sunday for cleaning, but will reopen Monday. And this pool here, Sean, at Riverside Park is one of 5 reopening tomorrow. For a full list of which pools in the city are reopening, what hours, and what capacities they're allowing, head to WJZ.com. Reporting live, I'm Annie Rose Ramos for WJZ.
Annie Rose, thank you. Well, as governors across the country mandate wearing masks in public, the U.S. Surgeon General defended guidance that he and the federal health officials gave earlier in the pandemic against face coverings.
It's important for people to understand that once upon a time we prescribed cigarettes for asthmatics and leeches and cocaine and heroin for people as medical treatments. When we learn better, we do better.
Florida, Texas, Arizona, and California combined to have close to 1 million confirmed cases. Well, a new analysis of cell phone data show more people traveled over the 4th of July holiday than Memorial Day. The CDC uses a private company to track general movements in the United States and found a number of visitors traveled to and from popular cities like Houston, Orlando, Tampa, and Miami. Experts say mobility is one of the risk factors for transmission of COVID-19, but it could be weeks before we see an increase in cases linked to the holiday travel. Well, starting tomorrow, Baltimore City will be giving out fines again for parking meter violations. The city stopped months ago because of the pandemic. Nearly 300 older meters have been replaced. Now people should follow the posted limits and hours of operation. Baltimore City's Department of Transportation is asking for your input to see which streets should be made safer from traffic. It's part of its Slow Streets initiative, the program that blocks off certain roads to allow for safe, socially distant walking or essential exercising. Now, starting tomorrow, you can submit a nomination online for a street to be closed, except to local traffic. We've seen similar closures happen at Druid Hill Park, Lake Montebello, and Patterson Park. Well, it's a tough time for restaurants during this pandemic. Several have already closed, and now with limited indoor and outdoor dining, restaurants are fighting to survive. Kelsey Kushner shows us what some restaurants are doing to stay afloat.
At Rye Street Tavern in Port Covington, it's outdoor dining with a view.
And we just wanted to have an environment where it was safe to people eat and comfortable.
Chef Andrew Carmelini says they're just one of several restaurants across the state hit hard by the pandemic, now forced to make changes to stay afloat.
We have contact tracing for all of our employees. Safety is the biggest thing for us, the most important thing for customers and for employees.
And his restaurant isn't the only one adapting to the new standard. In Fells Point and Canton, roads are blocked off, giving restaurants room to expand for outdoor dining.
I think the businesses have done an excellent job of putting their best foot forward and trying to adapt.
I hope it helps.
Restaurants have been hit hard by the pandemic, forcing some to close or switch to carry out only, drastically cutting sales. Many say now it's important to support local.
They've supported this neighborhood through a number of times that have not been the easiest, and they've stuck around. So I think we need to do our part and try and support them as well.
Now, because of outdoor dining, parking down here in Fells Point has been very limited. Now, the Department of Transportation says that they will be strictly enforcing residential permit parking. Reporting in Fells Point, Kelsey Krishner for WJZ.
It's still unclear if students will return to school in the fall here in Maryland. In Baltimore City, the district will host weekly town halls. According to the first presentation, social distancing may be reduced to as little as 4 feet, and all staff and students will be required to wear masks. Johns Hopkins University launched a new website to help guide schools' reopening plans across the country. The school reopening policy tracker will provide real-time analysis of the latest guidance from each state. There will also be a reopening checklist and a bi-weekly e-newsletter. Today, the Trump administration renewed its push to reopen schools. Nicole Killian reports for WJZ from the White House.
President Trump returned to his Virginia golf course this weekend as coronavirus cases in the U.S. shatter records.
In 2, 3, 4 weeks, by the time we next speak, I think we're going to be in very good shape.
The president and Education Secretary Betsy DeVos say schools should reopen this fall amid mounting concerns over safety.
The rule should be that kids go back to school this fall.
The Centers for Disease Control is expected to issue new guidelines for schools this week.
Should they follow CDC guidelines? On my team, the CDC guidelines are just that, meant to be flexible.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
What we heard from the secretary was malfeasance and dereliction of duty.
Saturday, the president wore a mask for the first time in public during a visit to Walter Reed Medical Center. The mask messaging comes amid an emerging divide between the coronavirus task force and Dr. Anthony Fauci, who at times has publicly disagreed with the president. A senior administration official tells CBS News members are frustrated with Dr. Fauci and feel he has become a source of controversy, though his role does not appear to be in jeopardy.
I respect Dr. Fauci a lot, but Dr. Fauci is not 100% right, and he also doesn't necessarily, and he admits that, have the whole national interest in mind.
Meantime, the president is also facing fallout over his decision to commute the sentence this weekend of longtime political ally Roger Stone.
I think anyone who cares about the rule of law in this country is nauseated.
In a sharply worded Washington Post op-ed, former special counsel Robert Mueller defended the Russia investigation, writing, "Roger Stone remains a convicted felon, and rightly so." Republican Senator Lindsey Graham tweeted, "Democrats' request for Mueller to testify will be granted." Senator Graham tells CBS News he has a lot of questions for Mueller, while the White House says Mueller wasted taxpayer dollars with his investigation. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.
Police tell us a third person has died after a number of shootings in Baltimore this weekend. The latest happened just before 11 last night near the crossroads of Bloomingdale and Denison. That's near the Walbrook Junction shopping center. Police say they found a man wounded at the scene. He later died at the hospital. This follows 2 similar crimes throughout the day yesterday in northeast Baltimore. One was on the Alameda, and then another was just north of Greenmount Cemetery. In both cases, police found a man wounded at the scene. Both men later died at the hospital. If you have any information on any of these crimes, call the city's homicide division. Well, a man also died after being shot in Annapolis just before 4 yesterday. This was near the Primrose Park apartment complex just east of Truxton Park. Similar to the incidents in Baltimore, police did not release any description or suspects in the case. Family and friends gathered in Chambers Park to remember a stabbing victim. DeAndre Matthews died last week after being stabbed in Annapolis on Baywind Avenue. His uncle says the family doesn't know who killed his nephew and says the phone call came in the middle of the night.
We really don't have any type of closure, so that kind of make things more hard and difficult to deal with and handle than the normal, because everyone's just confused how something like this can just happen.
Police have not released the names of any suspects, but say they are getting support from the community. All right, some strange news out of Ruxton today. A black bear is apparently running around scaring people. The Maryland Department of Natural Resources tells us there was a sighting, at least one, in Ruxton this morning. DNR urges anyone who encounters a bear to keep calm, keep your distance, and try not to corner the bear. They also say do not feed the bear. Black bears tend to wander into new areas in the midsummer, but they usually don't stay inside the Beltway. Well, a couple in Elk Ridge wasn't going to let the coronavirus pandemic stop their wedding. Manny Riviera and Hillary Flowers canceled the big event but hosted a small ceremony at home. Hillary's brother officiated the service. Guests wore custom-made face masks with the bride and groom's name and today's date. So a big congratulations to the newlyweds. Coming up on WJZ, new details on a massive fire aboard a Navy ship in San Diego, while the fire might last for days. And the coronavirus hospitalized more than 10,000 people in Texas, how the state hopes to deal with a shortage of beds in the ICU. Meanwhile, museums are opening back up around the world with some serious changes, while workers say this could be for the better.
And I'm meteorologist Chelsea Ingram. Showers are starting to move out of the region. So where does this leave us as we start out the work week? I'll let you know in the full forecast. That's straight ahead on WJZ.